storm warning. Yes, there is a storm warning, and there's a storm upon us. Right now, we've lost power where we live here, and there's a lot of wind and rain coming down now, and yeah, that's Kiwi. It's all kind of interesting here. I just wanted to go public and do that right now while I'm able to, because no telling how long I'll be able to do that. Well, okay, so yeah, there she is. I wanted to go ahead and make this information once again easy for you to reach out to me if you care to. And because of the situation with a lot of wind and rain and no power, we could be out of power for a couple of minutes, hours, weeks, years. Like I mentioned in my storm warning and weather modifications, some of the different posts where I'm covering artificial intelligence, it's also possible for the AI to shut down the power grid wherever, whenever. So with that in mind, it's a serious situation. Now, especially for my YouTube audience that doesn't really participate much in Facebook, what I wanted to say is that I have a lot of content on my Facebook that you can explore if you care to. You may not want to engage in all the interaction on Facebook. However, if you have an account then you would be able to look at my content, because I've got a photo album with over 2,600 photos, and on those photos is interlinked cross pollination between different social media platforms, and also it's a bit of a way of looking at sometimes the photos will actually be a reservoir, like a Rolodex, like a file folder notification. Like when I say moon landing hoax, and I'm showing a beautiful picture of the moon, I quite often include different videos from my liked video playlist. On my YouTube channel, I know I could do a little bit more organization. That's not going to happen very likely for a while, simply because with limited power, I've got this power right now. Yeah, that's Lily. She's checking up on me. Hey, let me show you a little bit about what the wind looks like, what the wind is doing right now. Right down where that statue is, there was a 2-foot in diameter pine tree that fell right across the backyard. It was about 80 feet long. And I was looking out the window, watching the trees bend over when it crashed to the ground. I was in the bedroom right over there. If it would have came down where I was standing, that would have been it for my human experience. How about that? So I'm actually good to go. No need to worry about me. And what I wanted to do is take this opportunity to cover a few things that I have in other videos, but I wanted to reiterate them here. One of the other opportunities that you would have with a Facebook account is you can like pages, mine or other people's pages, and I've opened up commenting on my public posts, which virtually all my posts are public, and now I've opened up commenting to everybody. And I give permission to anybody to call me on the cell phone with the phone number I showed you, or also to use Facebook Messenger if you care to. And I've just found Messenger to work really effectively. I haven't Skyped much, and I do have a WhatsApp account. I just haven't used it much. So on some of this, I just wanted to let you know that I get so much activity lately, for example, on Facebook, because of an increase of friends or followers and also subscribers on YouTube. The notifications with my interactions sometimes, some days are over 1,000 notifications, so I can't keep up with it all. There's just no way I can do that practically, especially with producing the content that I do and then reviewing other material, deciding whether or not to add that to my channel. Recently, I've added videos showing the beauty of the Myrtle Beach area here as it existed before this storm. We don't know how serious it actually will be. I know there's a lot of wind and rain happening. What I was talking about yesterday on the live broadcast, I did it on Facebook. One of the reasons being on a YouTube post, I may get a few hundred views and likes. When I put it out on Facebook, and a lot of my friends like and share it, I've got over 3,000 views on that video, and that's many times more than if I just go and directly post it on YouTube, even if I go live on YouTube. So it's a bit of an encouragement to consider utilizing the. I'll show you what that is. That's Dean over here, the cord chewer. Yeah, he's a character. So what I wanted to mention with that too is that it's not look at me, oh, I'm going live again. It's look at we. Look at what we can do as a team together, assembling a body of information that other people can explore. So, and make available. And right now, the way it is, we're all schooling the artificial intelligence that's online. It's paying attention to everything. It's not that there's a certain group of people that AI is monitoring, it's everybody and everything that's measurable. Even things that we might not even really consider, we're all being tracked, traced, and databased. I'm not paranoid. I've got reasonable precautions and consideration that I take in preparation, that I apply because of challenges. Yeah, that was Smeagol playing the piano. He played it a lot faster the other night when he was running across the keyboard all wet after an early morning swim in the bathtub there. So what I wanted to say too is that on my more recent post on Facebook, it's right there in the comments would be several pages that I manage. Weather Wars, 9/11 Truth, Eternal Perspective, Eternal Perspectives, Bible.com, and also a group that I manage that's called #Flat Earth Proof. One of the reasons for the pages is that when I develop a page like that, many of you are aware of a lot of these different dynamics in the structure of the mind control and population control that's inundating humanity. Well, what I'm able to do with the page is to click on like the page, and I'll send that to all my friends. Okay, and one of the other things, because I'm approaching 3,000 followers, I can't invite my followers to like the page like that. What I can do is make a post and link it together. Yeah, that's Pearl. Now she wants to come over and visit. So some of these are things that many of you know, and it may be news to some of you who haven't heard this before. We can have a maximum of 2,000 subscribers, and we can subscribe to 100 YouTube channels a day, and then we'll get locked out. That's the way it is now. Could it be that because of my prolific activity with the P900 and a lot of photographs, including memes that are there conveying powerful, hard-hitting truth to engage the heart and the mind, all of it. Hey, I want to take you outside, even though it's windy and I'm going to get a bit blown out here. I want to show you the new YouTube Eternal Perspective vehicle. I labeled it up and just wanted to show you what that looks like. Yeah, he's getting the house too. How about that? Yeah, it's all kind of interesting. I've got to secure this again. Any window or door that's compromised and gets blown out could cause the whole structure to lose other windows as well. And so when we consider there's the firmament above us, well, it's like molten glass. You know, the glass is actually really strong, and that's a big deal because it needs to be. The structure of the architecture of this home is several generations refined from some of the previous structures of the old mobile homes or old farmhouses and that. But the idea with all this is that it's important to take care of what we have, including our bodies. And that's why I also elaborate on good nutrition as a building block for the emotional response we have for what we face, what we're dealing with. Yesterday, what I want to talk about with the weather wars, there's been weather modification for a substantial amount of time. I want to say that I was very confident that we were going to have a lot of wind and rain. It's just, was there, how did this all come about where they embellish? Was it actually an embellished storm that the media produced? So here's what I want you to consider is that the system can shock test its communications and persuasion ability. Silent weapons for quiet wars is where there's talk of shock testing the economy, causing a rise in the price of fuel or coffee or any of the staples like that. I noticed something. I'm paying attention. We didn't have a stream of fuel trucks coming to refuel the gas stations they knew were going to be depleted. Why? Think about it. I talked to a neighbor, Chuck, yesterday. He pulled up, he said, "Are you ready?" I said, "Oh yeah, about as ready as we can be." I said, "Did you notice there wasn't a bunch of fuel trucks filling up the gas stations?" He said, "Oh yeah." He worked in the military. Veterans are on the are viewed as not real favorable in some cases by the administrations because they're aware of a lot that's going on. They can be viewed as a terrorist. I'm certainly viewed as a terrorist to expose the deception that's inundating humanity. And I'll just keep on doing it because that's what God created me to do. Exposing the truth of the reality of the need to be born again to the ends of the earth around the clock. Here's the beautiful thing about it. Some of you have probably noticed that I'm pretty prolific in the flat earth movement, or at least I talk about it a lot. Because of that activity and my sincere belief that it's the reality of the world we live in, wow. I gotta show you these guys. As a biblical creationist, they like to play around a lot. They're pretty funny. But as a biblical creationist, one of the things that happens is that some of the content that I've captured is mind blowing. The local sun video that I filmed, or there is no film, I recorded it next to the ocean, was shared through a variety of groups on Facebook. It was shared over 14,000 times and viewed over 600,000 times. Those are just the ones that I know of. Every now and again, I come across some of my content that's in other videos, and that's cool. Sometimes I'm mentioned as the producer of the content, and I appreciate it when my content is acknowledged as a source material for a video, simply because I would like people to come back to my channel and further explore the content. It's not that I'm trying to get more views, like it doesn't put more fuel in the tank or more coffee beans in the in the coffee maker. What it does is it gives me a further reach. So here's where I'm going with this. Because of my appearance at the Flat Earth International Conference in North Carolina of 2017, the comments that I made were heard by over 20 million people. Some of those people really like what I'm about. I get comments that are just very encouraging, and you can see some of them on my pictures and videos as well, along with some of the haters. You know, when I first went public with the belief that we don't live on a globe, I took a lot of heat right away, and I would get angry with people for coming against what I was saying and trying to take over my post to protect humanity from what they perceived as a deceptive individual. Well, I leave a lot more of the negative comments up now. It does a couple of things. One of the things that it actually does is it clues people in on the level of hatred that comes out, that people just kind of feel like they can say whatever they want, and they may be able to. It just makes them look really bad, because you can see what I'm about. I'm about caring about people, and making a difference in their lives. On my video yesterday, I mentioned about a bird that I had found on the parking ramp. When I came in earlier in the morning, there was a bird on the parking ramp, elevated right next to the ocean. I've got a shot of him on the photo album. And what I wanted to do is show you, I'm calling him Walter. Ooh, yeah, that's where he is right now. I brought him home. I've got a little carrier. I'm going to take him back out to the nature preserve where I do a lot of videography. And I've seen little guys like this before out there. Well, he's doing a lot better now. I've got purified water and chia seed and hemp parts, and I put some plant matter in there, and put a little water in the bathtub from time to time, and he's been talking and doing a lot better. It's an overall, one of the reasons why I share this is because I truly do care. One of the other things that I want to show is the biblical cosmology are the sun and the moon moving above the face of the flat earth. Now, we've got elevation measured above and below sea level, and right now I'm actually, yesterday, 24 feet above sea level. I might be a bit less than that now, because there's a storm surge, which is basically a bunch of water that gets piled up and moved to shallower regions of the edge of where the water is, the edge of the boundaries, like the Myrtle Beach area where we're at right now. So the reason why I say that, some of what I say might be Captain Obvious to some of you. Oh, but anyway, I see the tidal activity and how the water interacts with the people that come out to enjoy the beauty and majesty of creation. I find it really interesting, really amazing. And I just want to share the love of God through me with the people that I interact with. And that's one of the reasons why I have the proclamation, or I should say the name of my YouTube channel on my shirt and on the car, so that people can actually see that, and then they can do with that whatever they will. So rather than me try and go down the connecting the dots of all the actual conspiracies that are going on, I've created a liked video playlist that's approaching 1,300 videos. Some of the videos I've produced, and I talk about these different aspects and how they're interconnected. And then there are wonderful, very informative documentaries that cover issues like the military-industrial complex, the medical-industrial complex, the financial industrial complex, the World Central Bank. The people that are in control of that system basically create purchasing power out of thin air. It's a pretty elaborate scheme. Keep in mind, though, what would it profit a man if he gained the whole world and lose his soul? That's what Jesus says perpetually to humanity. One of the other really important dynamics, as Scripture also says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion. So in my commenting yesterday about wondering about the accuracy of the reports on the hurricane, I saw a picture of they said they had to get a different lens for the ISS to be able to capture the 500-mile wide storm. This, wow, let me show you this. It was commented on by ABC News. They were showing the satellite arm, some of the rig of the ISS supposedly capturing a picture of the Earth. Well, here's the deal. The storm was way too big to be on the globe of the size that they present. Because we don't live on a globe, we live on more of a level plane with features that rise up out of the water, up to 5.5 miles tall, that they acknowledge right now with Mount Everest. However, in the north, in the center of the plane that we live on, there could be mountains taller than that. When planes go up into the airplane, they fly over a level plane. Oh yeah. That documentation is on actually, NASA doesn't always lie. They're not always lying because when they're training fixed wing aircraft pilots, it's assumed that they're flying on a level plane. Yeah, how about that? And when they train for the firing of artillery, they assume a level, non-rotating, non-moving plane. Did you know that? So when a railgun can shoot a projectile, a railgun, have you ever heard of it? Yeah, they can shoot a projectile level for about over 100 miles. I think 128 miles or so. Really fast, like 7,000 miles an hour. Wow. Some of the technology we have is absolutely amazing. What we have right now, what you're viewing this video on, this broadcast, and what I'm creating it with is instantaneous worldwide communications in the hands of individuals that aren't afraid to live, die, or tell the truth in some cases. That's what you're looking at with me. That's what you've got with me. I've been bold enough to share how I survived the pharmaceutical assault on me. It nearly caused me to kill myself. I tried in 2005. Now I don't have the, now that I'm actually born again, I thought I was over 30 years ago till I actually was coming up on 4 years on Reformation Day. Yeah, Halloween isn't all about candy distribution. It's about worship of Satan, the fallen angels. Yeah, are you ready for the mark of the beast? You know, we used to put little tracts in candy containers and give them out when people came to our door. Now, what I get to do is what others that I'm associated with are doing as well, exposing the reality of the world that we live in. Pretty much contradictory or contrasting of Jim Carrey on the Truman Show, where he's living on a movie set and doesn't know it. The rest of the world does, but he doesn't. So what ended up happening is that, or what we're doing, I'm doing, and many of you are participating with that, is we're showing the world what we actually are living in, more of the reality of that. The water exposes the global lie. It'll just get level. It's reflective. I show photos of it, videos of it, elaborate on it. As water reflects a man's face, God's word reflects the man accurately. The symmetry that I show of the perfectly flat, undisturbed water shows the symmetry of billions of dollars of architecture. And then when it's wet sand and it's sloped, you can see it's a slanted reflection. The sea level liquid mirrors that I show out there. So what I'm noticing right now, actually pretty interesting. I had a lot of, I've almost got more viewers right now on YouTube Live as when I went live on Facebook. What happened though yesterday when I took my Facebook broadcast, it was shared by the time I got off of the beach and up into the condo to download it and upload it to YouTube. There were over 1,500 views, and when I checked this morning, like over 3,000 views. I had hashtag Hurricane Florence live. It was live at the time, and it was recorded live. A lot of the different broadcast presenters and information presenters will put live on a video, even though it was recorded earlier. Well, I'm not doing that to try and trick people. I'm just doing that because it's at the time I recorded it, it was a live broadcast on Facebook. Here's the point of all that, is that with there's approximately 2 billion people on Facebook and about 1 billion YouTube accounts, as best I can tell. Many of my nearly 1,000 subscribers now don't have any content, and very few, what would I say, subscribers. And some of those may actually be nodes on the artificial intelligence. Some of my Facebook friends, I'm sure, are. All of the data that gets distributed through cellular and Wi-Fi, it's all tracked, traced, data-based, and threat assessed. You should be aware of that. It's not like there's only a group of people on the watch list. We're all on the watch list. And I'm not freaked out about that. See, the new nature that I have isn't afraid of whatever Satan can do. Keep in mind, Satan will use who and what he can. The God who lives in and through me and created this world uses it all for his glory. Greater is he that's in me and all of God's children, all of his children that are actually born again. Some of his children haven't even been born the first time. Some of them have been born and died and are in an eternity that I'm wanting to share with others. God is not a cosmic killjoy trying to take the pleasure out of life. The deep satisfaction that I have walking obediently with him is surpasses any chemical cocktail that I could work up on my own by trying to connect with some dealer on the street, or the dealer on the drug at the drugstore on the corner, whether it's the Walmart pharmacy or the or somebody that's fabricating something in their kitchen, or growing some type of psychoactive substance. It's not only marijuana. There's psilocybin, there mushrooms they call it. There's acid. My first acid trip was 5 years old back in the 60s. It was from a classmate on my way to school, kindergarten. In the 60s, we had race riots going on. I was walking to kindergarten and he said, "Would you like to have some cotton candy?" And I said, "Sure." And I put it in my mouth and I spit it out. I said, "That's cotton." The next thing I remember, a vehicle levitated and started spinning around. I don't remember any more of that day. However, it was like a very vivid video clip within my memory. So there are some that say, no kidding, you were on drugs. Yeah, right. Well, I'll tell you whatever is left of the brain function that God has blessed me with is obviously articulate. I have no problem not only remembering and retrieving, it's prioritizing and being able to assess what reality actually is. For example, I believe the Bible is true. It's God's word and it's reliable because of the historic account of the flood, the historic account of the creation. Yeah, the creation, the non-moving earth, with the sun and the moon giving off their own light and the sun, moon, and stars moving above the face of the earth. The biblical account of creation opposes what NASA is promoting and presenting as reality. The reason why it's a big deal? Well, because they're all in on it, whether they know it or not. Even all the mainstream media, some of them are aware that they're promoting a deception. I was part of it as a homeschooling dad, teaching our sons that we live on a globe. Yeah. I told them they could learn a lot from Bill Nye, just we didn't come from monkeys. He got evolution wrong. He got a whole lot more wrong than that. Keep in mind that Bill Nye, what they showed was monkey turning into a man and a scientist, the evolution of who he is, the evolution of humanity from tiny amoeba, two tiny amoeba. That was on Bugs Bunny. I remember the little sound bite. The amount of information that I remember and retrieve and can present at a given time blows me away. The whole thing about we don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. Well, hello, it's just water seeking its level. It's funny, and yet it's reality. It's what water does. Watch this. It'll do it all day long. Oh, but I don't understand gravity? I think I do. Can water curve? Yeah, look at that. It's curving on the bottom. The container is completely full of atmosphere and liquid oxygen and hydrogen. It's a big deal. It doesn't have the fluoride and other chemicals in it either. Reverse osmosis and carbon filtration removes chemicals that are neurotoxins, interrupters in the proper function of the brain. It's a big deal. The false reality of the science fiction that's being promoted through NASA and Star Wars, Star Trek, Lost in Space, Universal Studios, Warner Brothers, all the mind control presentations that are put together are pretty elaborate. Look at The Matrix, look at Inception. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. Yeah, so it's powerful. Seeing is believing. What? Did we actually see the nose cone of a jet fly out the other side of a steel reinforced concrete structure? Yeah. That's not real. I've got a picture of it. So what I did, I don't know how to do some of the elaborate photo editing. I just took my P900, put it straight in front of the computer that I've got, and took a picture precisely when the nose cone came out the other side of the other side of the World Trade Center tower. And then I uploaded it to my photo album, and then I copied and pasted the documentary that I took it out of. I'm not stealing anything. I'm not violating any copyright, as best I can tell. And what I want to do is make the truth available for people to make an informed choice. Some people love the truth. I'm one of them. Some people hate the truth. Whose family do you think it is that hates the truth? The way, the truth, and the life. The God who created this world took up human flesh and dwelt among us. That's why I'm so big about sharing the gospel to the ends of the earth around the clock. It's a big deal. I could try and pump you up and motivate you on how to do this or that. My primary passion is to introduce you to the reality of the importance of being born of God's Spirit. And when that happens, it's an adventure that is absolutely mind-blowing. I never saw it coming. I never saw it coming. I didn't realize how satisfying my life could be, because what had happened with me in 2005 when I tried to end my life with a Tylenol PM overdose, Prozac and Depakote were the motivating factors for that. And it was impaired judgment, impaired decisions that led up to that decision, and pharmaceuticals were a part of all of that. Now, I've been off of pharmaceuticals for 4 years now, just about, and legal and illegal drugs too, because the satisfaction of obediently walking with God is surpassing any pharmaceutical modification of my perspective. Now, one of the other things to keep in mind, I'm just not coming against the pharmaceutical industry. What I'm pointing out is that fantasy, by and large, is a part of the false reality that people are in. And the chemical cocktail that happens in the brain when we're fantasizing about something we're watching on a TV screen or on the beach, okay? So, for example, Jesus talked about it. If I or anybody else looks at a woman to lust after her, I've already committed adultery in my mind. He's talking about fantasy there, and that's a very important reality. If something causes you to sin, cut it off, get rid of it, throw it away. And so, like my dad, bless his heart, he went to be wherever he is forever a little more than a year ago. And I thought he was a little bit extreme when he wanted my brother and I to organize our room. What he would do is he would pull our drawers out of the dresser, like our junk drawers where he had all our stuff, our toys and whatever, and he would dump them on the floor, and he would say, well, just put in there what you want, and the other stuff will either get away or give away or put in storage, but you can just organize it that way. And I believe he was right, and I'm using that as an illustration as well. When God took up residence within me, he helped me to let go of and get rid of the relatively unimportant. What will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? So I interact with people that are in quite a wide variety of the economic and social structure, from Hollywood celebrities to people in high political places and all that, as well as just people working at the bait shop, and everybody in between. The people that are living on the street, and I interact with them and help them too. keep in mind, like when I interact with some of the street people that are, or people living on the street, and they want money for cigarettes and vodka. I don't make that available for them. I typically give them some food or some practical resources like a Mylar reflective blanket that costs me $2 in the camping center, and it'll keep the rain off of them and keep the body heat in, give them a little bit more time to live. I remember in Wisconsin, every year, somebody will fall down drunk and freeze to death outside. It happens. People die like that. Well, is it an accidental death? See, nothing in this world is going to happen that God doesn't directly cause or allow. The important part that I'm wanting to help illustrate to anybody who will listen is the satisfaction of being directed by God and empowered by Him to do what He created me to do is absolutely beyond anything I've ever experienced before. So like when I capture a video of Josh out there on the Sea-Doo yesterday, I can do that. I can do that really well. I can go really fast on sports equipment, whether it's a Ferrari like my car is pictured next to in the Costco parking lot, or a high performance Sea-Doo or a boat or a motocross bike. I don't do much of that anymore. It's too expensive. What I can do though is I can capture and share it. By the way, if you want to actually see if I can do that kind of stuff and you've got a jet ski or a personal watercraft, you want to go out riding with me, and you wanna, I'll pay for the gas if you've got the equipment. It can be really cost prohibitive. Some of those personal watercraft are up to 70, 80, 90 miles an hour and cost maybe $15,000. I don't have the money for that. I'm not asking for money. And that is one of the dynamics that changes the way that this works out for me. Because I've got my car labeled up like that, if I had a business, it would probably contradict our covenant or guidelines for living in a community like we live in. Or if I were to walk into the Walmart wearing a business promoting shirt, if I were out in the parking lot handing out my business card or flyers, I would be soliciting. I'm not soliciting, I'm not selling. I am educating. I'm wanting to educate people on the reality of the world that we actually live in so that you can make an informed choice. This is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Eternal Perspective, and I'm going to flip this around. Let's see if I can, there it is. Okay, so these are some of the social media platforms that I'm on, and that would be the proper spelling of my name that'll get you there, on Twitter and Facebook. And I've got the icon on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your public and private encouragement. And for Eternal Perspective, live it out. YouTube it.